More medicines, decriminalizing certain drugs, making sure our kids are eating the most garbage food. And then on top of eating garbage food, they get obese. Then we need to medicate them even more. Wanting Medicare for all, 75% of Americans believe that. We're in debt up to our eyeballs. We can't afford housing, so we need government to provide that. They're starting. David Friedberg said it best yesterday on a podcast. He said, as much as we don't want to admit it, we're becoming socialist. He said, it doesn't matter if you think you're not. He said, we're going to take it hook, line, and sinker. America will become just what New York is now voting in. We will become that because we don't and can't do things for ourselves, and we won't take responsibility. We want the government to do it. I honestly believe the money system, the pharma system, the food system, and the fact of convenience and technology is actually helping us to become more lazy and dependent. Today we're going to talk about that. We're also going to discuss our friend Bill Gates and all the stuff that just came out about him. A new food that he's got for you that you need to eat. And by the way, it's, petroleum, carbon-based garbage. But he reinvigorated it and reinvented it, and now they're pushing it. And guess what? FDA will give him approval, just like they did on the fish from the other day. We'll discuss that, and along with several more stories about Mr. Gates. Also, we're going to discuss what the World Economic Forum just came out and stated. We thought they were gone. We thought since Trump's in control, we're okay. Think again. Yuval Harari just came out and said something that should scare the ever-living mess out of you, along with the fact that water is not absolutely attainable anymore. Water should be taxed more because people are using too much of it. That's what's happening. And guess what? We're taking it again, hook, line, and sinker. Today we're going to discuss all this on this Sunday. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here. I want to go over a few stories. Let's listen to a few quotes first, okay? David Friedberg said, we're on the way to socialism. We try to turn away from it, but we won't. We will dive right headfirst into socialism. And then when it doesn't work, we will double down on it. Also, what Yuval Harari just said. Most people will be willing to listen. This is so much of foreshadowing. Most people will be willing to give up their privacy in exchange for much better health care based on 24-hour monitoring. That's what's happening inside our bodies. We are very soon looking at walking around with true, full biometric sensors, along with our bodies being fully ran by things like Google, Facebook, and other ways to monitor our body 24 hours a day, and we're willing to give up our security and privacy for it. So in the name of people making sure we're healthy, we will allow the government to monitor our bodies. Another comment from Dr. Patrick Moore, who is a co-founder of a company that's pushing against net zero. Listen to this. He says, only the billionaires will be able to afford to buy the food, and the other people will either suffer, die, or depend on the government. Now they are going to cut into the agriculture, threatening to cut off the food supply. And because the food is about globe, and they can now push the warming and the climate problems, they can say the food is the problem. They will cause a ruination of which likes the earth has never seen. Because there are 8 billion of us, over 4 billion, which is over 50% of people depend on everyone else to do their jobs for them. Even though we know it's completely phony, people will either live completely dependent on the system, suffer or die, or if they're not the rich elite, they mean nothing. One more comment and then we're going to get into the stories. This is from the WEF, the World Economic Forum again. Now they want to tax your water. Listen to this. WEF Managing Director Jen Hui Newell. Beyond carbon taxes, let's think about ways that aspects that we can tax and quantify most use of easier versions of taxation. And she says, what about water? Everybody needs it. Why don't we look at ways to tax it? There's a new study that came out and said that Americans now spend more on taxes than they do on food and clothing combined. So we're already taxed enough, huh? Well, no, you're not, because your water hasn't been taxed. And by the way, we have to pay for all these government programs, so taxation's coming. So let's go back to the socialism. Why I say socialism is coming no matter what. Bill Gates just come out with a new product that has already passed marketing. The Bill Gates backed company is now producing a butter that has no animals, no plants, and no oil. It is made completely out of carbon. It means it's carbon capturing nasty byproducts and the gross runoff, the stuff that we don't want to use. It's now catching, and it is now making carbon-made butter. They're going to start working with restaurants, bakeries, and food suppliers to use this butter, and you may not even know that you're actually eating a butter that is completely made out of nastiness. We don't need the food. We don't need to worry about health again. We're just eating this garbage. This came out from CBS News just yesterday. Children struggling with obesity should be reevaluated and treated early and aggressively, including heavy medications for kids as young as 12 and surgeries for kids as young as 13, according to the guidelines, so they can get a hold of their obesity. They never said anything about exercise, never said clean up your diet, never saw about diets and lifestyle. They talked about strictly treating these children on medicines and surgeries. What does that mean? That means you are building a forever patient. What does it mean when you have diabetes at a young age? You're developing a forever patient. Now, these are the same foods they tell you to eat instead of eating healthy stuff like, raw milk and raw butter and homemade goods and raising your own food like having true beef, lamb, all those things. They tell you, oh, we don't need that. We need the salmon that we did in a petri dish, the chicken we raised in a petri dish. Also, all this GMO modified crops, that's what you need to be eating. Now we have this carbon-based butter. So you see how our food system is broken. And guess what? Let's go back to what the guy said about the billionaires. He said, unless you're able to grow your own food, what's going to happen? You're going to rely on them to grow it. I get that. This is the biggest comment I get of naysayers towards me. They're like, well, Kobe, we can't grow our own food. We don't have all the land. It's not about having a lot of land. I've had tons of videos of showing how to grow in containers. I have tons of videos showing how to grow rabbits. They're small. They don't make any noise. You can grow them in little rabbit hutches and give them the best diets in the world, and you have food and fertilizer at your hand and your fingertips. I've shown you how to grow literally edible landscaping. So don't tell me you can't grow. Don't tell me you're not allowed to grow. You better figure it out, because now every aspect of your life will be ran by people who want to take advantage of you, who wants to see you suffer, be on their product forever, or be completely dependent on them. Let's keep on going. We talked about the housing market over the last few days and how it's literally fallen to pieces. I want you to listen to this new study. Again, these are not from fringe news sources. These are from places like CBS and these mainstream media outlets. Listen to this. It says, a luxury Section 8 apartment tour in Arizona. We're starting to see more gated communities provided by big corporations that now have government subsidized ways of paying for them. So you know why BlackRock, you know why these big corporations are buying and overbuying and buying all this land to where you can't afford it as a local homeowner and someone who can't compete and buy over appraisal, is because if they turn around and do the specs of the government then pays them to run these properties. So you got bought out from the property you couldn't afford. You can't own a home because ultimately it costs too much because you're having to compete against BlackRock, who's a multi-trillion-dollar company, and now you have to buy from them, and they're going to set the rent to whatever they wanted. And guess what? If you can't pay it, which most of the time you can't, the government will come in and step in and do it for you with Section 8 housing. And they're not doing projects anymore. They're doing high-scale apartments. Why is this a big deal? Because they're making more money. Your tax dollars that, like for instance, I live in my own home, I pay for my own home, the government doesn't pay for mine. I'm overtaxed already, like we just read, but then I have to make sure that I'm paying enough tax to cover this new Section 8 housing that is provided for somebody else because they couldn't have their own home. You see how this works. For the people who are not fighting the system, believe in the system. They believe in the food stamps. They believe in the Medicare for all. They believe in the housing provided by the government. They want the government completely encapsulated in their lives because they need dependency. For the other 40-50% of individuals who want freedom, they're starving to death because we're having to pay for all the government subsidies that we're giving to the other side. What does that make? A polarizing situation. What does that make? It makes the billionaires say exactly what the guy said. Unless you have piles of money, or unless you're willing to fight the system until you get arrested or censored, you're going to fall in line like the rest of America. David Freeberg said it best. He said, you will believe in socialism because they're going to shove it down your throat and you're not going to have a choice. He said, look at examples of the Kansas City grocery store. And they brought this up. Gavin Baker, I think, brought this up. He said, We see the Kansas City grocery store did not actually do well. The government-funded grocery store that now New York is pushing, it didn't do well. It's missing food. You know what they did? Instead of saying, well, it's a failed project because the government has so much money, they don't want to say that we're wrong. Guess what they're doing? They're putting more of your tax dollars into it and investing more to provide more food into this grocery store instead of saying, well, it's a failed project, let Americans do their own food and allow Americans to sell to other Americans. No, they're saying, no, we're going to put more money into this. So again, it's not to make you feel depressed about today's video. The point is, we've got to overcome this. You can't tell me that you can't grow your own food. You can't tell me that you cannot control your money. You can't tell me that you're not going to make it, because we have to rise above that. We have to get out of that mentality. This is one thing I think Dave Ramsey definitely has right, and I love Dave Ramsey. But he says, there's no way that you have to keep believing woe is me, because if you keep believing woe is me, then you will fall right into the government trap that says, well, I need them to provide everything for us. I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to be different. So therefore, I have to learn to have those freedoms. When people say, well, we can't make it anymore, this economy is too terrible, then I'm going to find a way to make it. When people say they can't build a house for under $150, $200 a square foot, or they can't afford the land, I'm going to find a way to do it. So I'm going to learn the skills to actually do it myself. I was talking to an individual yesterday, and he's like, man, we can't grow gardens. We suck at it. We're no good at it. I said, all it takes is you learning, just educating yourself a little bit. And he's like, well, I don't have time. I said, dude, I work 2 jobs. Don't tell me you don't have time. We got to quit making excuses. Convenience and AI and technology now has taken over our life so much that we have developed this way to think that it does it all for us, and that we're too busy to do anything else. I love it. Here's my favorite. We'll make time for the things we want to make time for, and then we will shut down the time and make excuses for the things that we don't. Pay attention to this. If you want to play golf, or you want to watch that Netflix series, or you want to watch college football, or you want to go hunting, or you want to buy the car, or you want to do whatever it may be, you find a way to justify it, don't you? You find a way to justify it. You find a way to make time for it. If you want to go on vacation, or if you want to do this, you find ways to justify it, and then you also do it. Now, say for instance, we say, well, you need to take your family to church. Or say for instance, we say, you need to clean up your diet and quit eating fast food and start meal prepping at home. Say for instance, we say, okay, you need to eat peanut butter and jellies every day for lunch instead of Big Macs. Not only is it healthier for you, but it'll save you a lot of money. You need to start growing gardens. You need to start growing rabbits. You need to start growing chickens. You need to side hustle so you can make a little extra money. Here's what I get. Well, I don't have time. I'm too busy. I can't do this. I'm already stressed to the gill. I can't do that. I can't work out. I don't have time for that. So I have to eat Burger King. See, we justify the things that we want to, and then we make excuses for the things that we don't. What I'm trying to do is flip your mindset to say, if you let Bill Gates and this government tell you that these things are good, I mean, my gosh, then you deserve to live under their tutelage and their dependency. If you believe that AI is going to answer all your questions and be the doctor, the nurse, the lawyer, and everything that you want for you and give you money advice, then your life is completely subservient to a computer. If you believe that they're going to be your wife or be your husband because they're perfect and they know you better than anything, and you believe AI is going to do that and you don't need a wife or husband for that, then you deserve to live in that punishment of dependency and being alone for the rest of your life. Now, why am I saying all this? Because I'm telling you to be different. You've got to be different. Misty laughed. We had a little birthday party for one of my sons last night, and some of the people that come, they believe like us. Some of them homestead, not on our scale, but they'll grow a little garden here and there. Some of them may have a cow here and there. Some of them may have chickens here and there. Some of them have nothing in common with us. We just know them from church or something like that. And when they come here, I know they probably think we're so strange, because we have all this random food growing around. So like, they were sitting by the pool yesterday, and someone was looking at the lemongrass and mint, and they're like, I love these plants. And we're like, they're not really plants, they're food. They're like, I love this lemon balm. And we're like, no, that's really an herb that helps us, the flowers and the leaves help us to do things. I love this coneflower. This is gorgeous daisies. And I said, no, that's echinacea. That helps us with medicines for flu season. And it's like blowing their mind. They're like, these people are strange. It's not like I'm telling you to be strange, but what I am telling you to be is you have to be different. No more excuses. Government should not provide homes for you. Government should not provide your food. Government should not provide your medicines. Government should not provide every part of your life. AI and technology shouldn't provide every convenience you need. I had a guy yesterday email me and said he was complaining about DoorDash and complaining about Uber Eats. So he bought a fast food meal and he's too lazy to go get it, and then they got his meal wrong. And then on top of that, he paid this guy $10 to $15 to bring it to him. Then he tipped him 30 or 40%. So he got something that he didn't really want, that wasn't really right in the order, all because he wanted convenience so he could lay on the couch and watch the first part of preseason or college football. And so he paid $30 for something that would typically cost $7 or $8 if he just went and got it. Honestly, it was the Chipotle meal. So honestly, if he just went in there and got a tortilla, put some rice and chicken on it, it'd have been like $2. But you see what he did? He's complaining about it. He had excuses for it. He tried to justify it. But ultimately, it cost him a lot of money, a lot of time. It wasn't what he wanted. And to be honest with you, the laziness is kicking in. We have to be different. I'd like Trump is pushing for this decriminalization of marijuana now. I'm not for that. Because you tell me one city, and everybody can dog me out. I know it's a natural herb, or natural plant, and it could be used for a lot of good things. But we choose to abuse it like we choose to abuse everything else. Listen to me. Name one city that we have allowed for it to be legalized and that city is doing better. That it doesn't stink, that it doesn't cause crime, that it's not just a gateway for something else. Name one city. I went to Colorado 2 years ago. The most beautiful area I've ever seen was in Colorado. And every one of the cities were worthless and nasty because they've let drugs take over their cities. And now crime is up. My tag got stolen. I mean, literally every part of that trip was crazy because we had to watch our back every second. Because they said, be careful, there's homeless people over here, there's this. And they said it never really happened, really, until we allowed for drugs to come in. So I'm against Trump's movement of decriminalizing marijuana. I think it's just a wrong approach. So when we over-medicate people, when we over-drug people, when we give them crap food, when we provide their food and we don't allow them to actually have good stuff, we allow them to have trash stuff, what are we doing? We're making that socialist nation. 75% of people believe in Medicare for all. That's not good. That means they want the government to pay for it. Well, the government can't pay for it. Remember, government doesn't make money. They take money. Why don't you listen to two more stories? And this is one you have to be careful. Guess what? Government subsidized two things. Canada. Bill Gates granted emergency powers to spray chemicals all over Canada. This will help with weather. This will help with biocontrol. This will help with our crops. And this will help with aerodized, making people not be sick. Now, what's happening in Canada right now? It's weird how that happened. Canada has now gave $20,000 fines to $25,000 fines, along with every other form of persecution, if they see you walking, hiking, stepping into not only public forest, but private forest. This is not parody. They just wrote a guy a $28,000 ticket because he was on his own property hiking. Because they said it's time to lock indoors. You shouldn't be out in this weather. Government. Guess one of the things that USAID funded? Listen to this. Under no circumstance should we allow Bill Gates near our food system. And that's exactly what we're doing. He's running our medicine. Exactly what we're doing. This was from a health magazine. It says 47,000 children crippled and permanently disabled in India in a direct result of Bill Gates' thing. We're allowing these people to rule over us? And now they're saying, well, if your kids are a little overweight at 12 and 13, well, because they're trash diets, because you're not giving them good food. But we need to probably just do surgeries and medication. Get them on medication. It'll clean it up. 70% of people, if they worked out or did exercise, would lose weight and get healthier. They said only 30% are truly dependent on some kind of medicine. 70% could literally work their problems off. And he says, but the doctors say that 95% of what they prescribe is not health and lifestyle changes, it's medicine. Is this the life that you want to live? This is socialism, people. Government-funded housing, government-funded healthcare, government-funded insurances and subsidies, government-funded housing. Now AI is coming alongside you and is doing everything else for you. You want everybody to provide your food for you. You want everybody to provide your goods for you, your jobs for you. What actually are you doing to earn any of that? You're not. Welcome to socialism. No matter who's in presidency, it's still rolling right in front of us because we've allowed for government to be too big, and we've allowed for people like Bill Gates to have too much power. Please be different. Be different. Want difference. Be something better than this. If you would go back to what your great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents and even some of your grandparents would do, they'd slap you around for not being more independent and building skills. You start doing that stuff again, we're going to save America. But if we don't, we're just going to fall right into the socialist, communist government. And you will be in control. Simple as that. Pay attention to these stories today. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.